One of the biggest complaints junglers often make is that their lanes are just inting to the enemy jungler, and that they're never actually able to get ganks because their laners suck and all sorts of other grievances regarding the performance of their teammates. But how is it when challengers smurf in low elo, they're able to win basically 100% of their games? And no, this isn't an exaggeration. I haven't lost a single jungle smurf game in elos ranging from silver to high plat since I started doing smurf commentaries for skill caps 5 months ago. It's not that you just get better teammates if you're a smurf. In fact, in most of these games, I constantly complain that my team is terrible, and I'm still able to win. We deal with the exact same teammates, inters, and rage quits that you do. So what exactly separates challenger level gameplay from your own? In this video, we're going to tackle that question and talk about probably the most important and most mis-executed thing about jungle, ganking. To do this, let's use a simple analogy. Most everyone is familiar with the whack-a-mole game at carnivals and arcades. 15 or so moles will pop up at random times, and you just have to smack them when they do. This is pretty similar to ganking in that you might get a short opportunity that pops up and then goes away. And in order to win, you need to capitalize on as many as possible. The higher the rank, the more moles you'll have to whack in order to win. At Challenger, you can't afford to miss any more than 1 or 2, but at Silver, you can probably miss 10 or more and still be okay. Now imagine that you just put a cover over half the board to simulate inters and AFKs. There's no way that you're going to be able to get all 15 because you can't even see them when they pop up. In these really hard games, you'll have less opportunities to get ganks, so it's even more important that you can actually get the rest of them so you can still reach your target score. Challengers have the skill set needed to quickly identify when ganks will work, and this is something that lower elo players definitely lack. It often feels like I can just run around the map and kill whoever when smurfing. But that advice doesn't really help if you can't see the moments that tell you to gank when you need to. So we're going to actually analyze a smurf game that I played in Plat 4, Gold 1 Elo, and break down exactly why I knew my ganks would work, and I wouldn't just be wasting my time. Let's get started. Starting off, I blind picked Rek'Sai, and the enemy team responded with Ivern, Veigar, and Morgana. Champions that can be very annoying for Rek'Sai since she can easily be locked down, kited, and one-shot. I knew that I'd have to explode this game open or late game would be very, very difficult for me. In general, jungler's most important time is the first 15 minutes of the game, where your own individual impact is the highest. In 1v1s, 2v2s, and 3v3s, you being individually strong has much more impact than when 5v5s start happening. Your total gold lead means much less when 10 champions are involved versus 3 or 4 total. And the champions that get played in jungle just tend to exacerbate this issue. 15 minutes is usually around when the first tower gets broken and people start grouping up, meaning you need to have a significant advantage by then to really make sure the game is in your control. In the beginning of the game, I did blue Gromp into wolves in this game, just because I didn't know if Ivern had started my red or not, and I wanted level 3 once I was in my top side, just in case I needed to go do something right away. We talk about it a ton, but look at how many times I'm moving my camera for information during this section here. Information gathering is the most important thing when trying to get ganks off, as just like in the whack-a-mole example, taking away half of your intel will completely ruin your experience. What kinds of things do you think I'm looking for when I'm doing this? The most obvious thing, and the thing that most players look for, is just if the enemy is overextended. One of the biggest things that players will tell me is that they can just look at their minimap for this, and while that's true, it just doesn't give the full picture. Additionally, we're trying to predict if the enemy will overextend in the next bit of time, not if they already are. Showing up when the enemy is already overextended means you'll miss a lot of chances. Oftentimes being there before they have a chance to place a ward or crash the wave to tower will give you a much higher success chance. One of the most important things that you can start implementing now is just to think about your gank as if you were the enemy laner. As Aurelia, if you were aware of the enemy jungler, you definitely wouldn't try to go for these low HP minions, but if not, you're just going to go for CS. It's important to time ganks on windows like this, where Aurelia's decision very clearly indicates what information she has about you. If she knows, you'll also know immediately and can just go do other things with your time. If you miss this window and show up when Aurelia has nothing to be choosing between, she can just pretend not to see you and waste your time. A lot of junglers would probably just do Raptors into red, but because I saw the lane state here and I knew that they would be fighting over prio, I chose to skip it because this gank was a very likely a success for us. Moving on, we have to again think from our potential gank target's perspective. Here I'm eyeing mid lane and I move my camera over again. Why did I do this now? A lot of junglers would assume that Yone would know that they're coming from above and would therefore not be gankable and just go for crab. But assumptions like this can be really dangerous and cause us to miss a lot of chances. Another big tip that you can implement now is to just start reading the body language of the enemy champions. Again, we want to know what information Yone is actually processing right now. It's clear to me that while he should know that we can come from topside, he's still playing aggressively and trying to win trades in his lane, making him a really easy target for ganks. I flash on him and easily get a kill. If I hadn't done this, it's likely Swain would have gotten solo killed. What could have been seen as a teammate running it down is now a big int for the enemy mid laner. Right after this, we're back to looking for opportunities. Immediately, I pan my camera to top again to check the lane state. Again, from here, think as if you're Aurelia. What would you look to do? You pretty much have two choices, which would be to push the next wave and maybe look for a dive or try and hit plates. Or you just back up and let the wave come to you. At this point, you have to figure out what Aurelia actually knows. Once again, we show on the map leaving to topside, so she should know that we're going towards her. However, if she's not actually doing anything important with that information, it's on us to punish it. I see on the minimap that she definitely is staying, so I know I have time to do crap. And then I look top again to see her POV again. From here, what would you do? Aurelia has already committed to shoving the next wave. Unless she has no information, she's going to stick with the play she's doing already and sees as optimal, which means she would just try to push these 3 minions and then would have to make a new decision. When you keep thinking from the enemy's perspective, it becomes really easy to just chain gank over and over and over again. Unless their body language says otherwise, most people will commit to the play that they already have in mind and not change it. So read into what play they're going to do, and that will tell you how much time you have to do other things. I show up top right as she's about to finish the play she set out to do and get another kill. Afterwards, I do Krugs and reset to spend my gold. Going to bot side here is pretty obvious since I have all my camps up, but before you even commit to doing Wolves or Gromp here, you need to check your lanes. Notice how many times I looked at every lane state here. During this entire time, I'm doing the exact same thing from before, just reading into the enemy's game plans. From this position, Yone is going to try and crash this wave, so I can't afford to do a camp or I'll miss the timing. By seeing how many minions are left, I know I can do as much as possible to make this play work until he finishes pushing the wave. So I take my time to get a deep pink ward to help prevent a counter gank and then get another free kill on the enemy mid just in time. Rinse and repeat, and we do the exact same thing right after. If on paper we were to talk about this bot lane state, it wouldn't be very gankable. The enemy bot lane can just sit back out of view and wait for the wave to come to them. But again, just because they can doesn't mean they will. I check the lane a few seconds later and Veigar's body language tells me he wants to get last hits, otherwise he'd be playing much further back here. I see this and then just walk bot and get a free flash. Fast forward a bit and just watch how far up Yone is playing. He's not overextended on the map by any means, but his body language is saying he wants to go in, and I can read that easily. Without moving your camera, you probably never would have caught this. The rest of the game goes really smoothly, and we end up winning handily. I just rinse and repeat these exact same tactics for the entirety of the game until they FF. 90% of jungle is literally just being in the right place at the right time. But even breaking it down that simply, there's a reason why it's so hard to hit high elo. This is just a difficult skill to master. A lot of players think they have it down and that they're seeing every opportunity, but they just aren't. If they were, they'd be in Challenger. You may not believe it, but this is Platinum Elo, and it's not just this game. If you look at any of the commentaries that I've done on our website, you'll see the exact same thing in pretty much everyone. My ganks will almost always just work. These plays may seem really obvious, and if that's the case, then you probably just need to look more at your lanes. We're presenting information here, so the only reasonable conclusion in that situation is that you just aren't getting the information in the first place. Your teammates may be inters, but I guarantee that the enemy team is always inting just as hard. You just need to know how to spot it. And if you're serious about truly becoming a better jungler and climbing fast, then check out Skillcapped. It's the best place to improve at League of Legends. We have hundreds of guides just like this one, and we upload tons of new videos to our site each week. If you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using skill caps, you can claim a full refund, so there's no risk. That's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. We offer this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't, you shouldn't pay for it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.